mentioning like 2 weeks before, like her mom was not feeling well. And
Yeah,
yesterday, like the verses what we are reading today, so which is related to her, and
yeah.
she herself messaged me saying that she want to read those and hear those. So
Hmm.
just want to mention that, yeah.
Yes, Mate, yeah. Yeah, we all can also pray for Vidyamate's mother.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you.
that.
Thank you, Mate. Let me. Yeah, Vidyamati, whenever you're ready, you can start with prayers, Mate.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatojayam Uriraye Nasta Prashu Abhareshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Nasteki. Today we are reading from Canto 7, Chapter 2, Hiranyakashipu, King of the Demons, text 49 through 61. Text 49. Those who have full knowledge of self-realization, who know very well that the spirit soul is eternal, whereas the body is perishable, are not overwhelmed by lamentation. But persons who lack knowledge of self-realization certainly lament. Therefore, it is difficult to educate a person in illusion. Text 50. There was once a hunter who lured birds with food and captured them after spreading a net. He lived as if appointed by death personified as the killer of the birds. Text 51. While wandering in the forest, the hunter saw a pair of Kalinga birds. Of the two, the female was captivated by the hunter's lure. Text 52. O queens of Siyagna, the male Kulinga bird, seeing his wife put into the greatest danger in the grip of Providence, became very unhappy. Because of affection, the poor bird, being unable to release her, began to lament for his wife. Text 53. Alas, how merciless is Providence! My wife, unable to be held by anyone, is in such an awkward position and lamenting for me. What will Providence gain by taking away this poor bird? What will be the profit? Text 54. If unkind Providence takes away my wife, who is half my body, why should he not take me also? What is the use of my living with half of my body, bereaved by loss of my wife? What shall I gain in this way? Text 55. The unfortunate baby birds, bereft of their mother, are waiting in the nest for her to feed them. They are still very small and have not yet grown their wings. How shall I be able to maintain them? Text 56. Because of the loss of his wife, the Kalinga bird lamented with tears in his eyes. Meanwhile, following the dictations of mature time, the hunter, who was very carefully hidden in the distance, released his arrow, which pierced the body of the Kalinga bird and killed him. Text 57. Thus, Yamaraja, in the guise of a small boy, told all the queens, "You are all so foolish that you lament, but do not see your own death. Afflicted by a poor fund of knowledge, you do not know that even if you lament for your dead husband for hundreds of years, you will never get him back alive. And in the meantime, your lives will be finished." Text 58. Hiranyakashipu said, while Yamaraja, in the form of a small boy, was instructing all the relatives surrounding the dead body of Suyagna, everyone was struck with wonder by his philosophical words. They could understand that everything material is temporary, not continuing to exist. Text 59. After instructing all the foolish relatives of Suyagna, Yamaraja, in the form of a boy, disappeared from their vision. Then the relatives of King Suyagna performed the ritualistic funeral ceremonies. Text 60. Therefore, none of you should be aggrieved for the loss of the body, whether your own or those of others. Only in ignorance does one make bodily distinctions, thinking, "Who am I? Who are the others? What is mine? What is the others?" Text 61. Narada Muni continued. Diti, the mother of Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyaksha heard the instructions of Hiranyakashipu along with her daughter-in-law Rusabanu, Hiranyaksha's wife. She then forget her grief over her son's death and thus engage her mind and attention in understanding the real philosophy of life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of Canto 7, Chapter 2, Hiranyakashipu, King of the Demons. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vijay Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Sri Krishna Prabhu, whenever you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Vidya Mataji, for reading the translation today. Thank you, Sundaram Prabhu. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Sikshashramekam Purusha Puranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sariradari Kripam Vadittamaham Prapadye Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langete girum yatkrupa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Tarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So this section is titled as Hiranyakashipu, the king of all demons. So Hiranyakashipu, we all know, is son of Mother Diti and Kashyapa. So Hiranyakashipu had a brother named Hiranyaksha. So Hiranyaksha, from birth, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they were bitter enemies of Lord Vishnu. So so this is their the first birth, as after they are cursed by four Kumaras. This in this life, so Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So Hiranyaksha, we all know, he was extremely cruel, and it was said in one of these verses that Hiranyakashipu himself says that he is fond of drinking blood. So extremely cruel. If you can imagine a cruel person, the peak of the cruelty, you can, so these two personalities were like that. So they were in the extreme cruel position. They were torturing, and because of that, the we all saw in the previous chapter how Lord Vishnu is always equally disposed between demons and demigods. So but in this case, because of the time factor, Hiranyaksha was trying to destroy the earth. He was taking the earth to the nether regions. So because of the time factor, Lord Vishnu had to help the earth and then put it in the orbit. And then eventually Varahadev appeared and Hiranyaksha was killed. So now Hiranyakashipu, because of his extreme austerities, he has immense power. And because of his brother being killed, he's taking this position of a revenge, extremely angry and trying to take the revenge. So this is the mood of the demoniac tendency. When there is a sorrow, they try to take shelter of this revenge, envy, jealousy, angry, and all that negative qualities. So in this aspect, now Hiranyakashipu, he is a politician, he's a king, and he's also playing the role of an extremely cruel demon, so called in the material world. So we can see how in this position he is trying to pacify his mother Diti. So obviously his son has died. The mother is extremely sorrowful and she's lamenting. And the queens of Hiranyaksha, they were also lamenting. So at this position, being a diplomatic king, he is speaking, whatever he is speaking is a factual truth. Even though he's not acting on that, standing on that philosophy himself, but he is speaking factual truth. and he's also elaborating a story of a king who died. So here, Hiranyakashipu started pacifying his mother in many ways. He himself is established the real fact that how the spirit soul, the living entity, is eternal. It is inexhaustible. It's free from material contamination. It can travel anywhere in the material spiritual worlds. So he's completely is giving this the crux of the knowledge, like the summary of Bhagavad Gita from chapter 2. What is the what is the identity of the soul, Atma, and the subtle body, the gross body? Everything is giving crystal clear, and he is also saying that when the mind is agitated by the moments of modes of material nature, it thinks that it has changed from one condition to another condition. So these are all different phases of subtle and gross bodily changes, but the soul is eternal. So all this philosophy is saying, and then he is himself trying to narrate on story. So we can imagine the power of the stories. Even though he gives all the philosophy, when the knowledge is given in the form of a story, it is very much appealing. So finally, after hearing this story, the mother, it was said at the end that Mother Diti was able to pacify herself that no matter how much she's feeling separated, the soul, the body, the body is perishable. The soul can never come into this perishable body again. So the soul again takes his eternal position based on his karma. So that Diti understands that part. So today we are seeing this, continuing this section where Hiranyakashipu is elaborating this story from verse number 49. So, here the story of a king is being elaborated, and how when the king died in the battlefield, and all of the queens, they came and they were crying, how alas the king was looking so with all the blood and everything. The queens were like, half of my life is gone, as if their life is gone. The queens were lamenting, and the whole situation was, there is no hope. And then Yamaraj himself appears in the form of a boy to pacify these queens and tell them the real factual knowledge about the soul, and how the soul is eternal, and how the spirit soul comes into the material world. I mean, whatever factually happens in the material world, um, if there is any factuality, there is only reality when it is seen in relation with Lord Vishnu. So that way the Bhagavatam first verse itself says that the absolute truth. So when you say truth in reality, distinguished from illusion. So what is that reality? The Bhagavatam says that Supreme Personality of Godhead is residing in everyone's heart, and he is residing in every atom. So ekopi acho rachitam jagadanda kotim yachakti jagadanda chayadadanta andantarastu paramanu chayantarastam govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. So the Lord is residing in every anu, every atom, paramanu, and also in everybody's heart. So because of his presence, everything has a reality, because of his existence. But if we separate him and we see only the matter as the combination of only the matter, then there is no reality. Everything is basically an illusion. So here, within the story, there is another story is being relayed here. So, the after the king after the king has passed, the queens are lamenting. The boy, who was Amaraj himself, comes in the form of a boy, and he narrates another story for the queens to understand the separation, what they're feeling, in a form of a story of an hunter. So this hunter, he is mentioned as the death personified for the birds. So he's killing birds like left and right. So he's like a death personified for the birds. Like sometimes we, by seeing one person, we see that, oh, he's so cruel, he's so mean, and we have this kind of identification that he's always, spitting negative words, negative thoughts, like that. These, anytime the birds, he sees the birds, he kills them. It's like a death personified. So one time he was going in this forest, and he saw two kulinga birds. So I don't know what kind of birds are kulinga birds, but it's specifically mentioned here, kulinga birds. So among these two birds, the female bird was captivated by this hunters. He was looking at the female bird, and he was trying to capture, and by his net he captured the female bird. So now, the male bird who was seeing this, the whole scene that the female bird has been captured, he was extremely in separation. He was feeling how this hunter is so merciless, and how is this small baby birds, now the female bird is captured, how is the baby birds is going to survive? Who is going to take care of my children? I was thinking like this. He was even forgetting the cruel death that is going to come to himself. So in this whole situation, what happened was the bird was completely observed in that situation, and by the time the hunter saw this bird is watching, and he shot an arrow and killed that bird. So here the comparison is given that, so in this material world, everybody has to leave their body. So we may be in separation from our loved ones, but our time is also is going to complete, and we also have to leave this body. So we have to, from that perspective, so what indirectly here they are saying is, we have to save ourselves from the cruel, not only this from the bodily perishment, but also the evolution, in the evolution cycle of consciousness, we have to evolve higher and higher. So in this journey of this life, we are supposed to free ourselves from this samsara chakra, from this bondage of birth and death. So once, like, there was Yudhishthira Maharaj, who once he was there is a yaksha in the lake. All of his brothers like Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, Sahadeva, everybody actually tries to see who's actually there, and then they try to drink this water from the lake. They also fell down unconscious, and then finally Yudhishthira Maharaj comes, and this Yaksharaj asks questions, and he says, if you answer my questions, then I'll think about relieving your dead brothers. So Yudhishthira Maharaj answering all these questions. One of the questions was, Kim Ashcharya, like what is the so surprising thing in this material world? Kim Ashcharya, what is surprising thing? And Yudhishthira Maharaj replies that, he specifically says, Ahani ahani bhutani gacchanti iha yama alayam seshastavaram ichanti kim ascharyam ataparam. So Yudhishthira Maharaj says that he didn't say that, this world is very mesmerizing, this material world, there are so many interesting things. He didn't say any of those things. He said, what is so wonderful? He said that hundreds and thousands of living entities are dying every moment, but still a foolish living entity thinks that death, he himself does not die, and he does not prepare for death. He thinks he is deathless. What is more wonderful, Kim Ashcharyam, what is more wonderful than this thing? So we can understand the power of illusion, that uh, the soul is eternal. So even the soul covered by the body, the soul thinks the body and the consciousness is such that we are going to live forever along with this body. But that is not the case. Like Bhagavad Gita also, many verses Krishna says that this body, antavanta ime deha, this body is perishable. This body is perishable. So, there are, if you look at the chapter second Bhagavad Gita summary, the many verses Krishna just focuses only on this point, that how the spirit soul is eternal, and on the contrary, the body is perishable. So here, so now this story, as it is progressing, this hunter who was cruelly killed the bird, now Prabhupada is kind of elaborating on some of these verses. So in this material world, we all obviously take shelter of our parents and our job, and there's so many things that can give us shelter. But ultimately, if the Supreme Lord is not giving us protection, then everything will be collapsed. Everything will, in a matter of few seconds, it can collapse. So the real protection, the real fact is that the Supreme Lord is the one who is protecting, even if there is nobody else protecting you. So that is why the whole life, if you look at the whole life, the whole life one has to mold in such a way that he takes the bhakti, the Lord Vishnu's lotus feet, the bhakti very seriously, and then takes shelter. Otherwise, the so-called protection in this material world will end in a matter of few seconds, and then the whole what we see, the material world, the view will change. So big kings, they fall in matter of the fights, like this, and we can see in the material world, in a matter of few days, some countries become bankrupt also, right? So nobody can give protection. The Supreme Lord, we have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. So Kali Yuga is so degraded. Prabhupada even says that own mother and father, they even kill their own children in the womb. So they do abortion, they kill the children, and they think that it's just a small embryo, there's no life. So then there is no protection even from mother and father. You can imagine how degraded the Kali Yuga has become. So now, one time I was hearing from my Shiksha Guru the same story he was reciting in a little bit different way. So he was saying that the female bird was caught by the hunter. The male bird was looking, and he was in so much separation. He was so much in anxiety. And then he said, he suddenly thought, and then he took sannyas. So I didn't understand that time what is he saying, what kind of a story is this. So now I understand the indirect meaning what he was saying. So the meaning is, many people leave the body. We feel their separation. They are their loved ones. The best way we can help them is by taking bhakti in Krishna conscious process. Ourselves, we can deep dive into this bhakti platform, and we can, by ourselves purifying ourselves, then we can see the truth in a clear vision of what is happening. Then we can at least help our ancestors or loved ones by ourselves becoming more and more Krishna consciousness. So that is the reason he was saying that the male bird took sannyas, and that time I was kind of not understanding, but here we can see that the Kulinga bird was killed, and the Emerald small boy. So now he told the queens of Hiranyaksha, that you're all lamenting, but you do not see your own death is going to come. So now, indirectly, he's saying that you take shelter of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, so that you also don't leave your body. Just like, so there is a comparison of Brahmana and a Kripana, right? A Brahmana also lives, and Kripana, like the miserly man, is compared here to a person who does not use his life for Krishna consciousness or for obtaining the liberation or freedom from this cycle of birth and death and going to this eternal platform of taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. So Brahmana uses his life, whatever his lifespan, he uses for that purpose of purifying his existence and getting out of this samsara chakra. But on the other side, a krupana or a person who is not interested in spiritual life, he is just wasting his entire life and finally he meets the death. So the purport is that we should not just waste our life and meet the death. So before our death approaches us, we should be utilizing our life in a meaningful way of purifying our existence. So the best way of purifying our existence in the Kali Yuga is by chanting the holy names of the Lord, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to propagate all over the world by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So by always chanting the holy names of the Lord, it even said in Bhagavatam that death does not approach, even though like by a day and night, if you look at the 24 hours, every day the lifespan is shortening. We are actually going closer to death. But anyone who is observed in the eternal thoughts of the Supreme Lord, by observing ourselves in the holy name pastimes of the Supreme Lord, in the Nama Guna Rupa Leela, like whatever his form, his activities, his qualities, his name, and that person does not get get the time does not crush him, the time factor does not work on him. So that was the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam. So indirectly, Emeraj in the form of a boy, he's saying that before your death approaches, that you take shelter of the Supreme Lord, that everything is material world is temporary and they do not continue to exist. So here Prabhupada also gives elaborate purports in Bhagavad Gita that Antavanta ime deha nitya shokta saririnaha. So the body is perishable, but the soul within the body is imperishable. So the only finally Prabhupada is concluding that from Sri Madhvacharya's comments. So Madhvacharya says that there is a verse that Prabhupada quotes. Janardana is another name of Lord Krishna. So one who is the who maintains all the living entities, Janardana. So he's the Supreme Lord. He's always existing, but his creation, the material world, is temporary. Therefore, everyone who is captivated by the material energy and absorbed in thinking, I am the body and everything belong to me, aham mameti. So one should think only of being an eternally a part of Janardana. So here Prabhupada is giving that essence. So when we think I am this body and everything belongs to the body is mine, that is the illusion. On the contrary, if you have to come out of this illusion, we have to think we are the part and parcel entities. So the Lord is maintaining us also. So when we think we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord Krishna, then at that time, with that consciousness, we will be able to attain the association of Supreme Lord. We will be able to go back to home, back to Godhead. So and then finally here, after instructing all the relatives of Suyajna, Yamaraj in the form of a boy, then the Yamaraj just disappeared and all the relatives. Now finally Mother Diti, it was mentioned that she got relieved. It was Narada Muni said that Mother Diti, the mother of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, after hearing the instructions of Hiranyakashipu, basically Hiranyakashipu is reciting all the story within a story, and finally, along with the daughter-in-law, Rushabhanu, Hiranyaksha's wife, they all got relieved from their grief, and then they performed the last rites for Hiranyaksha. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Vancha Kalpatrubhisha, Kripa Sindhu Bhyevachaha, Patita Nam Pavane Bhyo Vaishnave Bhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Thank you very